Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I have discovered over the last 2 days that making a video is much harder than I thought it was. So I'm going to try to shorten this down, and we'll start with the very basic things that you need to know on how to make a cell phone case, which is transferable to just about every other thing. It's the same stitches that you use in every other project that you ever try to do. So we're going to start with your basic chain today. To start your chain, you want a slip knot, which is simply taking the end of your yarn, loop it back over the working yarn, and then take your working yarn and put it over the tail and through the loop that you just created. Now the cool thing about chains is that you can do them without any tools at all. You don't need a hook to do this. You don't need any other items, just your hands and a piece of string. So you've got your slip knot made. You're going to take your working end, not the tail. You want the long working end that goes to your ball or whatever you're using. And you put the working end up through the loop that you just created and pull on it to tighten down that slip knot just a touch. And you can leave this loop as big as you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be tight. It doesn't have to be loose. You can just get it to what you believe is a comfortable width, and that is the size of your chain. And then you simply repeat the process. Just pull that up through, and there you go. As you pull it up, you'll notice that one side will pull the loop tighter and the other side, the previous loop I mean, one side, for instance in this case it's the top, will pull the previous loop tighter while making your working loop slightly larger. You want to be careful not to pull that too tight, because if you're going to continue your crochet and bring more rows on top of your chain, then you have to be able to get whatever tool you're using. If you're just using your fingers, then this loop needs to stay pretty big because you have to be able to get your fingers through it. But if you're using a crochet hook, for instance, then you still need to be able to get your crochet hook into that loop, so you don't want it to get too tight. Now to use a hook to do this, same idea. Let me take this out, and you see how easy this pulls out. You just pull on it and it comes out. You take your crochet hook and put your original slip loop over your crochet hook and snug it down just a touch. You don't want it too tight. You want it to be able to move. And then I hold my yarn across my fingers and in the pinky finger to hold the tension on it, and then over my first finger so that it helps me hold the tension. Now I also have to hold on to this tail. I typically use my thumb and my first finger to hold that tail, so that when I yarn over and hold the yarn for the stitch, that loop, the original slip loop, doesn't roll around the hook. So you do want to keep a hold of your tail and your work as you go. So you'll yarn over and pull that through the loop. Now you don't want to snug that down too tight, because again, you want to be able to get your hook back through that first loop. So you're just going to repeat the process. Yarn over and pull your yarn through the loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Now for this phone case, depending on the size of the yarn you're using and the size of the hook you're using, you will want about 15 chains in your first set, in your chain length here. Whatever you are using to make your project for your phone case in this instance, or if you're making it to fit a wallet, whatever you are making this to fit, you want to make sure that it will fit. So when you start this, you want to take your chain and lay it across whatever you're using. In this case, I'm using a ruler. I'm using my cell phone to film the video, so I don't have it available right now. But you want to lay your chain across whatever you are making and make sure it's going to go all the way across. If it doesn't go all the way across, you're going to have a hard time getting your item in or out of your pouch. So, looks like that's going to be about big enough for my phone. Yeah, it's almost 3 inches. Let me turn this over here so you can, yeah. So you're measuring from the original knot to however wide your item is. And it looks like that's about 2 3/4. Maybe a little shorter. Yeah, it's about 2 3/4. Don't stretch your work to measure it. If it's stretched out when you measure it, it's gonna fit really tight on whatever you are putting in the pouch. So you want to make sure you're not stretching your chain when you measure it. The next step is to make one more chain, just like that, and then go back into the previous chain. So your working yarn is in the very last chain. Go into the next loop, this very top loop here, and you do want to make sure you always use the top loops of your chain. If you look at it, it's got 2 different sides. Each stitch has 3 pieces to it. There's a top and a middle and the other side, or a left, middle, and a right. So you want to make sure you're only using one loop. In my case, I always use the top loop because the bottom loop will become a decorative edge as you go. Yarn over with your hook through that first stitch, pull through, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. And this is called a single crochet because you're only pulling your hook through once. Yarn over again and pull through both those loops on the hook. There's a single crochet. That is the first stitch of the first row, and you continue into the next stitch. Simply put your hook in the next top loop, yarn over, slide it back. You now have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through. You will continue to do this all the way across your work. And that is video 1. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please push all the buttons, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, please. Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.